Good morning. Thank you for attending today. My name is Mike Hestrin. I'm the Riverside County District Attorney. I want to introduce some folks. Can't read with my glasses on, so sorry about that. I want to introduce some folks I have here. To my left is Matt Capelouto. To my right is DEA Special Agent in Charge Bill Bodner. Today we're talking once again about fentanyl and the crisis of fentanyl that is plaguing our country, our state, and certainly this county. You've heard me mention statistics about how fentanyl has been devastating families across Riverside County. I want to point out to you that in 2022 we're going to end up having nearly 500 fentanyl poisonings in Riverside County. In 2019, just a few years ago, we had 111, more than a 327% increase. So we continue to talk about the importance of fentanyl. We continue to stress prevention. We recently had a press conference where we stressed our prevention efforts with our federal partners and our state partners. Today I want to highlight a different aspect, and that is the prosecution aspect. In Riverside County at the state level, since 2021 when we started taking a tough stance on fentanyl, we have prosecuted 21 offenders and 20 cases for murder for fentanyl poisoning. That's the most in the state. We're the first to take this approach. But we can't do this, we can't fight this, and we can't prosecute these cases in the volume of cases that we are seeing by ourselves. And so I do want to give credit to our federal partners today, because we have roughly about 10 federal cases that we're prosecuting at the federal level. And I say we, I mean our federal partners, the U.S. Attorney's Office, Riverside County, Riverside and San Bernardino, are prosecuting these cases at the federal level. We have put a SAUSA, which is a special agent, a special U.S. attorney that is assigned to the U.S. Attorney's Office, that is a Riverside County Deputy District Attorney, to handle these cases. So we're putting the resources in and making sure that when the case is appropriate, we're able to, and the U.S. Attorney believes the case is appropriate, we're able to prosecute these cases both at the state and federal level. It takes that kind of collaboration, it takes that kind of comprehensive approach. So today I'm going to turn it over to Special Agent in Charge Bill Bodner to tell you a little bit about the DEA's efforts in this area, and then we're going to turn it over to Matt Capelouto to highlight the case of his daughter and the federal prosecution that just occurred.
As I stand here today, I'm reminded of something former Los Angeles City Police Chief and New York City Police Commissioner Bill Bratton once said. He said, "That which you tolerate becomes the norm." I'm proud this morning to stand with District Attorney Hestrin and Matt Capelouto, two men who are refusing every day to let fentanyl cause deaths become the norm in our community. As DA Hestrin said, we don't have the full data from 2022 yet, but from 2019 through the end of 2021, deaths caused by all drugs in Riverside County increased by 78%. And we know a majority of the increase in deaths resulted from the distribution of fentanyl in the form of fake prescription pills and powder. In fact, fentanyl caused deaths in Riverside to triple between 2019 and 2021. Fentanyl caused deaths to triple. One of the cornerstones of DEA's enforcement strategy aims to protect the public and reduce the harm by targeting dealers who have sold drugs that killed. Through our Operation OD Justice, we've investigated several cases where a single drug dealer poisoned and/or killed multiple victims in the span of a couple days. Without law enforcement intervention, this cycle of drug distribution and resulting harm continues unchecked. Yesterday's sentencing of Brandon McDowell marks the third time a defendant charged with distribution resulting in death was sentenced in the Riverside branch of the Federal District Court in the past 19 months. There is a fourth defendant scheduled to be sentenced on April 10th. These cases were all unrelated, with the exception of the involvement of fentanyl. DEA will continue to work with local law enforcement agencies to ensure those lost to fentanyl have a voice, and we will continue to work with DA Hestrin and U.S. Attorney Estrada to ensure those distributing deadly fentanyl are held accountable. Whether it's the availability of drugs on social media apps like Snapchat, as occurred in the death of Alexandra Capelouto, or pills sold in a park by teenagers, as was the case with the Bernstein High School incident last year in Los Angeles, the dangers to our children caused by illicit drugs today are far greater than ever before. The synthetic drugs today are more powerful and more available. Don't tolerate losing our children to fentanyl, and don't normalize the death of our kids by fentanyl poisoning. Thank you.
DEA Hestrin. Thank you. Before I turn over to Matt Capelouto, I want to make a comment. You know by now that we're not going to give up, we're not going to tire, we're not going to quit in our quest to make this, just as Bill said, not normal. We're not going to accept the deaths of our residents at the hands of fentanyl. We're going to continue to push hard for these cases, for these murder prosecutions where appropriate. But I do want to say one thing to Sacramento and to all of our lawmakers that go to Sacramento, assembly members, senators, the governor, help us. It's time that you helped us. Help the people of your state. We're asking you to take a look and pass the laws and give us the tools to protect our citizens. It's simple as that. Matt.
Good morning. Yesterday was a bittersweet day for my family, for justice, and for the memory of our beloved daughter, Alexandra. It was a day we had been working so hard for the past 3 years. It was a day that we honestly thought might never happen. Justice for Alex, accountability for the defendant. The people standing up here today with me, they saw that our daughter was a victim. They saw that the defendant knowingly put her life in jeopardy to make a few bucks. They acted and they did something about it. We are grateful and lucky to have received any justice at all, and we know it. The drug dealer responsible for deceiving my daughter to death by selling her a counterfeit oxycodone pill made with a lethal dose of fentanyl faced 20 years in federal prison. Judge Jesus Bernal sentenced him to only 9 years. I'm disappointed that Judge Jesus Bernal believed the defendant was not fully aware of the dangers of what he was selling. The evidence clearly showed otherwise. I'm disappointed, yet I'm still grateful. Grateful because honestly, most families who have lost and will lose a loved one to drug-induced homicide will receive zero justice. The reality is, the state of California does not have proper laws in place to stop drug dealers from peddling poison pills to our friends, our family, our neighbors. Most of these cases are handled by state and local authorities, and unlike my daughter's case, few see the involvement of federal investigators and prosecutors. So when a drug pusher hands a pill made of deadly fentanyl to the next person and it kills them, as it did my daughter, there are no laws, no mechanisms in place to ensure that dealer will be held accountable for the death of their victim. They don't exist. To put it bluntly, without the laws in place, drug dealers will continue to keep dealing the drugs that are killing Americans in record numbers. Horrific numbers. Day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. We talk about it, we see it on TV, we're shocked, dismayed, angered, but what are we doing about it? Making its way through the California Legislature and headed toward the California Senate Public Safety Committee is SB 44, known as Alexandra's Law. This law will save lives in our state and in our communities. When someone is convicted of a DUI, which causes a car accident, they must sign what is called a Watson advisement. If it were to happen again and the DUI crash results in a death, they can be charged with second-degree murder. Alexandra's Law does something very similar. A person convicted of a fentanyl-related drug offense will be required to be served a written advisory and admonishment notifying them of the danger of manufacturing and distributing controlled substances and of potential future criminal liability if another person dies as a result of that person's actions. If they are convicted of selling fentanyl illegally, they are put on notice, and if they continue to do so and it results in a death, they can and will be charged with murder. That's powerful. That's accountability. That will save lives. And like I said, Alexandra's Law, driven by California State Senators Tom Umberg and Rosalicia Choa Bode, is headed for the California Senate Public Safety Committee. In my view, it is imperative that the committee take this into serious consideration. Senators Aisha Wahab, Rosalicia Choa Bode, Stephen Bradford, Nancy Skinner, and Scott Wiener have an opportunity to save lives. They can lead the way. They have a chance to truly take a step toward protecting thousands of Californians. And if they don't, more drug dealers will knowingly sell these poison pills to Californians. And more sons, daughters, nieces, nephews, fathers, and mothers will die with zero accountability for the person who killed them. They'll do it again and again and again. That's not acceptable to me, and it shouldn't be acceptable to any Californian who cares about the safety and well-being of our people. Finally, while I don't feel in my heart complete and total justice has been done today, I will say some justice has been done, and we have made significant progress in this fight. Alex, I know you can hear me, and I know you're smiling because you're proud of the work we've done to reach this day. And if you could, you would thank each and every one of these people right alongside of me for valuing the beautiful life that was stolen from you, from our family, and everyone who knew you. I want to say thank you to Master Investigator Robert Cornett, the lead investigator who initially identified the defendant responsible for my daughter's death. Riverside County District Attorney Mike Hestrin, who despite not having laws on our side is leading the way in holding fentanyl dealers accountable. Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco, who is leading the way in arresting those who are poisoning our communities with this fentanyl. Deputy District Attorney Dave DeHaan, who worked diligently on my daughter's case before it was handed over for federal prosecution. Homeland Security Special Agent Sonny Villarreal, who was largely responsible for transitioning this case from a state prosecution to federal prosecution. DEA Special Agent Haja Rosabiani, who arrested the man responsible for killing my daughter. Assistant U.S. Attorney John Bala and Special Agent U.S. Attorney Stephen Merrill, whom my family and I are honored and blessed to have fought for justice for my daughter. Your diligence, professionalism, and commitment to justice in this case for Alex, for our family, and all the citizens of California is something we will eternally be grateful for. We are a family who lost a daughter, and that is a sorrow we will endure for the rest of our lives. But because of the people I mentioned just now, and the senators fighting for the law in Alex's name, we are inspired to continue to fight for justice, accountability, and safety for all Californians and Americans threatened by these murders. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. I'll take any questions now you may have for any of us. Anybody have any questions for us?
Excuse me, gentlemen. My apologies if this question sounds kindergarten to your ears at best, but it just seems like Senate Bill 44 is a no-brainer for everyone to be able to support. Is there any way, shape, or form you're getting any type of opposition, and if so, why?
It should be a no-brainer, you would think. If we're just simply asking that those who are already convicted of a fentanyl-related offense signify and be told that they've been warned about the dangers for future behavior, it does seem like an obvious law that should be in place. There is opposition. A similar bill has died in the past, and there's strong opposition in Sacramento to any law that punishes offenders. And that's the world we're living in California. There's a strong decarceration effort, and there's an ideology floating around Sacramento and the state that says that punishing offenders who actually hurt our citizens is wrong, or somehow that's harmful to society. And it's nonsense, and that's what we're battling against.
Can I touch on something? Please. I would like to allude to your question about SB 44 being a no-brainer. When this was codified into law, the Watson admonishment to deal with DUI, driving under the influence, we saw a dramatic reduction in DUI fatalities. Why? Because it worked as a strong deterrent. Today, people are afraid to get behind the wheel driving under the influence for fear of the ramifications if they kill somebody. That same deterrent effect, not all, maybe not your big time cartels, but I guarantee you, many of the drug dealers, like the one who killed my daughter, might think twice before selling deadly pills. It is a no-brainer. Thank you for asking that question.
Any other questions? Anything at all? Well, thank you all for being here. Thank you very much.